What's good, everybody? Welcome into your Week 11. Can you believe it? Week 11 NFL Mega Preview here at the Early Edge, your sports betting brand of record. We are powered, as always, by the almighty SportsLine, the best value in all of sports. Now, the reason we do this show on Tuesdays is to get ahead of the line. Because in the National Football League, it moves so much. It can be the difference between winning and losing. A little housekeeping. Here's what we're doing on today's show. Now, if you're staying active in the chat, that's the most important thing. We're going to give away 2 year-long memberships for just at random. My producer, Johnny, will be taking stock of what's going on in the chat. Always leave your Twitter handle as well, and we need you to follow SportsLine also. We'll give away a free sub when we get to 200 likes, so I need you to smash that like button for me. Then also, we're going to give away a free T-shirt at random to somebody who is active in the chat. All right? Our live stream schedule for the week. We're always extremely, extremely busy. Follow our YouTube channel. Turn on the notifications so you know every single time a new show drops into your feed. This is our Mega Preview. On Wednesday, we have our college football Mega Preview. Then Friday, our prop special. Sunday, 2 live shows. And then Monday night, of course, Monday Night Football. And there you see the stars of the show. I bring in my heavy hitters on Tuesdays. Right below me, you can read his power rankings every single week. He's our NFL #1 handicapper. We call him R.J. White. R.J., hello, sir.
How you doing, Coach? Coming off a so-so week, ugly little game there against the Rams. Had the Rams, so looking to bounce back going into next week. Get the taste out of my mouth after that one.
I think I'm putting the Rams and Matthew Stafford. He is who we thought he was. Permanent fade list for me. All he's doing is throw the ball.
You thought he was Jared Goff? Because that's who he looks like.
It is who he looks like. Awful. Why are we picking the weeks where he's playing like crap? And then they show all these great numbers with him and Cooper Kupp. I'm like, not tonight. Not tonight, you're not. Joe calls this the R.J. White Show. Interesting, Joe. Apparently, Joe doesn't want to win anything. Because if he was right, he'd call it the Jeweler Show. Johnny's show. They really run the show. All right, right next to R.J., he's our DFS wizard. And also, he can do anything when it comes to sports betting. We call him M-Squared. Mikey, hello, sir.
Good afternoon, Coach. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Nice to see everyone here. It is my favorite show of the week. Tuesday's insanely busy for me, but cannot miss this show. This one's my favorite. I'm glad we have so many people in the chat that also look forward to this one because this is definitely the one where you want to beat the number.
And we could not do this show without you or without the man who's right above you. He is the maestro, Larry Hartstein. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Got a quick peek at the picks, and it looks like we have a showdown brewing.
Oh, I love it when we can smell it on a Tuesday. I love it when we smell it on a Tuesday. All right. Now, we've got some power rankings, some SportsLine power rankings, which the criteria is a little bit different, but I love getting your takes every single week. So, Johnny, throw out the power rankings after Week 10, and there might be a little bit of eyebrow raising, and I want to get everybody's takes. The Bills coming off a big road win over the Jets. The Chiefs, look at the Chiefs. Blowing out the Raiders on the road. They improved to 6-4. They're at number 2. The Cardinals get beat by the Panthers. The Bucks get beat by Washington, yet they're at 3-4. The Cowboys, they bounce back nicely. RJ, your thoughts on these power rankings, sir?
Yeah, the SportsLine projection model didn't have the Chiefs as low as what their performance had actually probably deserved because they looked pretty bad over the first half of the year. And it seemed to have been justified in 1 week. So now that we've seen them be themselves for 1 week, the model's right back to putting them up, a top 2 team, which is where we thought they were going into the season. So that's interesting to me. The Bucks going down to 4, I'm a little lower. I'm a little higher than them. I'm a little lower on them moving down that much because I think that's still the team to beat when they're healthy. I have them number 1 in my own power ratings. Cowboys finally get a spot in the top 5. They probably deserve that for much of the year. I moved them up to number 2 in my power ratings because I just couldn't justify putting them lower than a team like the Bills or the Rams at this point because I know Cowboys are a well-rounded team and I'm more sure that they can hang with the Bucks on a neutral field than I am with those other teams. So I kind of like how this is shaking out here at the top. I think the Chiefs are probably too high. The Cowboys are too low. The Bucks are a little bit too low. And then the bottom of the list is interesting. We see the Titans getting some respect moving into the top 10. I know people have been calling for them. They actually don't look that great to me on offense. So I'm surprised that they're on the way up. I would actually put them on the way down to me because I think that 8-2 record isn't indicative of what we're going to see for them going forward.
I just need 2 more wins from them to cash our futures ticket from our futures episode. I need 9.5 wins, so I need 10 wins. Let's get that done, and then they can fall out of the top of the power rankings. Mikey, are we disrespecting the Patriots, not putting them in here?
Yeah, you read my mind. That was the only thing I would change. I mean, you could argue the order really anywhere. You can argue moving a team up and down by 1 or 2 spots. But for me, it's the Colts and the Patriots are the problem here. Remove the Colts, put the Patriots in, and the Patriots can be number 10, which is where I have them. But other than that, I think that this list is actually pretty good. It's one of the ones that I've agreed with the most that we've put out this season so far. So I personally just like the SportsLine model here, just like some of the others. Put the Chiefs right back up to where we expected them to be for the most part. Obviously, it was only a 1-game sample, but for me, it's more than a 1-game sample because the defense has looked a lot better for 3 consecutive games now. And now they're going to be a little more healthy in a big spot. Huge game against the Cowboys here, and then some of these division games coming up. But it's not necessarily also about just the Chiefs being back to where we thought they were. We've seen a lot of teams on this list also lose games that we wouldn't expect them to lose. So what I think that is really needs to be pointed out is there's not really a true dominant team in the NFL this season.
You're dead on. That's exactly it. This has been an historic year for underdogs, not just covering against the spread, but winning outright on the field. It's been an historic year for underdogs. Maestro, let me come to you. Your thoughts after really good breakdowns by RJ and Mikey.
Yeah, that's the case, but it wasn't that way until about week 7. I think up until week 7, all the top teams were blowing out the bottom teams by massive numbers, and then we've seen a crazy switch the last 4 weeks. But the thing that strikes me is the Titans, 194 yards, 264 yards. That's what they've mustered the past 2 weeks. I know they're the number 1 seed, but without Derrick Henry, without Julio Jones, and now Bud Dupree is out. So, yeah, this is basically saying what we would do on a neutral field right now and moving forward as opposed to what they've done.
Yeah, it's kind of like how you handicap. Did somebody have something? Did you have something, Mikey?
Yeah, I'll note real quick. We talked about the Patriots. Yeah. They're actually number 11 in these rankings. So we cut it off at 10, obviously, but they're right there. So you see the Colts moving down in the rankings. If they don't continue to impress, they have the Bills next week. So if they look bad in that game, I'm sure New England will jump them at that point.
Oh, very good. Thank you, RJ. Let's continue to put your Twitter handles into the chat. Let's smash that like button. Let's get to 200 likes so I can give away a year-long membership. And remember, if you stay active, you ask questions, or you just want to talk to other people in the chat, we're going to be giving away at least 3 different things for those people who are the most active. All right, let's spin it forward now and look forward to this week, guys, because it's week 11. We're now into November halfway. It's starting to get serious, and it's not too early to start thinking about playoff positioning. So here's the top 5 games, according to me, this particular week. RJ, as we show the list, obviously the Cowboys and the Chiefs, I believe, is the number 1 game this week. But I also think Colts-Bills important, Steelers-Chargers, Saints-Eagles, and the Packers and the Vikings. Which game, RJ, are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, it's got to be Cowboys Chiefs. I mean, you see that line, Chiefs minus 2.5. With how the Cowboys have played this year, I guess we're just ignoring, the first 10 weeks of the season with the Chiefs. And we're saying that, okay, or the first 9 weeks, because they look good in week 10. So, I mean, the rest of it didn't happen. So this is where I would have put them after seeing how well the Cowboys have played this year. This is where I would have put them without knowing what the Chiefs had done. This is what I assume the line would be. So it's really interesting to think that everything's just fixed for them. So that's the most interesting game to me. I'm also interested to see what the Bills do against the Colts. They've been playing a lot of bad defenses. And so the offense finally got back on track, but anybody will get back on track against the Jets. So the Colts are a better defense than that. We'll see if the Bills offense really has fixed their issues and is ready to step up and be a Super Bowl contender, because I still have some questions about that offense.
I agree with you. Edward in the chat says, Coach, why not the Jets and the Dolphins on this list? Oh, somebody's got jokes. Mikey, which game are you looking forward to?
Yeah, it's got to be Chiefs, Cowboys, without a doubt. I mean, Packers as well. I'm very interested to see how they run that offense with Aaron Jones being out, how A.J. Dillon gets worked in, what his usage looks like. Very interested in Saints-Eagles as well. I think there's some key injuries in that one that we're still monitoring. But overall, I think this list is great. I'll be watching Chiefs-Cowboys for sure, but Packers-Vikings is one you always got to tune into as well.
It's interesting too when you look at this list, because even though some teams may be 4-6 or 5-5, they're still very much alive in the playoff race because of the parity this year across the league. Maestro, talk to me.
Yeah, I'm leaning the other way. I don't have any pick on it yet in terms of Cowboys Chiefs from what RJ said, because the Chiefs defense has played well for about 4 to 5 weeks now. We've seen Patrick Mahomes 2 straight weeks not force the ball. In fact, he was being so cautious, he missed a couple of throws downfield that I think he normally would hit. And then you look at this Cowboys defense, they have feasted on turnovers. They give up 5.8 yards per play. That's 26th in the league. They have gambling corners, as we know, in Trayvon Diggs that could get beat deep here. So early look, I would take KC.
Oh, I like the way you're thinking, Maestro. Somebody in the chat said, is M squared a ventriloquist? Because I think that he has frozen on us. So I believe we're going to have Mikey dump out and dump back in. Real-time scoring, by the way. We have a big investment from the show on the United States men's soccer team. They just scored a goal against Jamaica, so they're up 1-0 USA. All right, we've reached the time of the show where we give out our official picks that we lock in on a Tuesday to try to beat the number. RJ, what do you got on tap for us this week?
I'm going to start with Washington plus 3.5. Look ahead was Carolina -2, but the market clearly believes that Cam changes the trajectory for this team. I think 2 was closer to the right number than 3.5. And once you push it over a field goal, I like taking the points in that matchup. I like Texans plus 10.5. I speak on the Texans a lot. It seems like I'm on them a lot. This is more of a Tennessee fade than a belief that Houston is solid. But Tyrod is better than he showed in his return. First game back from a long-term injury, you're not going to look your sharpest. Tennessee was outplayed by New Orleans. Got the positive end of fumble and officiating luck in that game. That's not going to happen every game. Football Outsider says Tennessee at number 18 in DVOA, clearly not an elite team to them despite their record. So, don't just knock us for having Tennessee too low. DVOA says they're number 18. And I kind of trust, what they're looking at, efficiency wise. And then I also have a teaser, Saints plus 7.5 and Cowboys plus 8.5. New Orleans was a pick 'em on the look ahead, but that unlucky loss to Tennessee plus that big Philly win pushed it up. Philly's defense benefited from a decimated Denver offensive line, and their offense isn't going to be able to win with the run here. This is a terrible matchup if you're going to try to win with the run. Most teams don't even try against New Orleans. So New Orleans outplayed Tennessee, done in by the refs and a few bad breaks. But there are a few bad breaks from a 7-game win streak. They've had several close losses that came down to kicking games. So 1 week looking like themselves to me doesn't make KC a better team than Dallas, than like I said earlier. So bumping that Cowboys line up to plus 8.5, I think is great value too. So that's my teaser this week.
I can't even imagine. That's such a great teaser, RJ. It really is. And when you think about it, this is a great way for those of you who are new that are watching right now to educate yourself that sometimes you see a number, you go, man, you can make the number even better if you find another number to go with it, like RJ just did. Now you get the Cowboys with 8.5 instead of 2.5. I can't even imagine a world the Chiefs could beat the Cowboys by 8.5 points. I can't imagine that world. All right, Mikey, you've got an extensive list today, so let me come to you next.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have another SportsLine showdown here, as I've got the Carolina Panthers minus 3.5. I really like what I saw there. The thing that I like about it, though, is good luck defending this team in the red zone. Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey on the field, Cam Newton's ability to pass. But for me, this is really about the trouble for the Washington football defense. Losing Chase Young and Montrez Sweat, both big pieces that were going to put some pressure on Cam Newton back there. I love this spot. I love the ability to dump off to Christian McCaffrey. As long as he can stay healthy for another week, it's going to be a 30-touch game for him in this one, especially as they come back home. I think the Carolina defense is going to feed off of the energy of having Cam Newton there, especially back in that stadium for the first time. I think it's a great spot. I will definitely accept any and all showdowns on this one.
I knew that was coming.
Honestly, it's probably my favorite bet of the season. I've actually already played it on the alt line at minus 6.5 as well. I absolutely love this spot. I think the Washington football team is going to fold completely for the rest of the season, starting with this week. Losing those 2 players defensively absolutely crushes that football team. Then they're playing with Taylor Heineke, super inflated after beating the Bucs. So definitely accepting any and all showdowns on that one. Dolphins minus 3. I think this line's a little soft. I make it all the way up to minus 4.4 in the simulations. I think it's going to be a good spot for Tua having some of his weapons. I don't believe in the Jets at all. Mike White, kind of back to where we thought Mike White was, and the reason why Mike White wasn't starting football games in the NFL. Saints plus 1.5. Love this one as well. Still don't know the status on Alvin Kamara. Personally, I think he sits. Dallas Goedert, questionable in the concussion protocol, is a bigger deal on the other side for Philadelphia. Philadelphia has completely revamped that team. They run the ball so much now, which is exactly what the Saints want you to try to do against that defense. It's going to eat the clock away a little bit in this game, so we know it's going to be the Saints are going to be able to remain competitive. But I like it here. I think the wrong team is favored, frankly. This is one that I wouldn't be shocked at all, depending on how the injury news shakes out, if we're looking at a -1.5 by the time that one kicks. And then Kansas City, I personally have them right back up near the top, -2.5. I make it -3.8, but I'm grabbing it because we get it through the key number of 3. Like Larry mentioned, Cowboys very aggressive defensively on the corners with Patrick Mahomes looking like himself again. We get another home game here in this spot. And then you've got Travis Kelce seems to have some energy back. So I think they're going to be able to expose Diggs a little bit as he's very, very aggressive. And then my teaser, Saints +7.5, Ravens -0.5. Look, I don't like the Ravens against the spread. I do like the Ravens to win the football game against the Chicago Bears. And 7.5 is just an absolute gift with the Saints.
Wow, 5 incredible plays. So we all know the question that's coming next, gentlemen. Who's going to be the man to step up and challenge Mikey M Squared to a SportsLine showdown? Is it going to be you, RJ? Is it going to be you, Maestro? Is it going to be both of you? Who's it going to be?
I'll do it if Larry doesn't want to. I got Larry on my side, so I ain't scared.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So let's go RJ, 3.5 plus. Mikey, -3.5 on the Panthers. Maestro, one last chance to get involved here. We know Mikey will take every bet.
Yeah, I know. I know Mikey would be open for this all week, so I'm just going to ponder it a little bit. But as we sit here, you have a Panthers team that's 1-6 last 7 as a home favorite, has only covered that game at Houston when they were favorite. I love this team. I love their defense, but I just don't like playing them as a favorite in a total that's 43. 3.5 points in such a low total with limited offenses. I know McCaffrey's back. And I've been, just looking into Washington and how well Ron Rivera's teams do off the bye and the way Antonio Gibson is running. I think it's going to be a tight game, a close game. I will totally not be shocked to see it Carolina 23, Washington 20. But getting the hook, I felt I wanted to get on that. And, but I'll let you know a little bit later, Mikey.
I was going to say, Maestro, you said I can't see playing you don't have to play them as a favorite. We're not making you play them as a favorite. We're just asking if you want a little SportsLine showdown. I don't know where you got that I wanted you to play them as a favorite. By the way, Joe in the chat finally figured it out. I've been saying it for weeks. RJ is a low-key, good trash talker. He's not that. He's a low-key, great trash talker. Don't even fool yourself. He is a great trash talker. Oh my goodness. Follow him on Twitter and you will laugh your guts out day in and day out. All right, Mike.
I got to jump back in. Somebody in the chat was talking about Cam Newton, and yeah, there's a mojo, there's the energy, but this is probably the worst rated passer in the league last season. Got completely beaten out for the job just because he threw 4 passes and had a nice highlight run into the end zone doesn't mean that all of a sudden, he's going to rejuvenate an entire offense.
He's also not walking back into the same offense. I know people see the Carolina uniform and they're like, oh, it's Cam Newton. He's just going to pick right up where he left off. This is a new offense, new offensive coordinator, new coaches, new everything. So it's not like he's just going to, it's muscle memory for him. He's got to learn all this in a week plus, a week and a half or whatever it's been.
I hear you guys. I hear you. But Mikey, I keep hearing these reasons on why your pick is so bad, but yet I only have one taker. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to bully anybody into taking a bet, but I'm just saying I'm hearing a lot of these things, and Mikey's over here shaking his head going, okay, where's the other bet? But we'll let you ponder, Maestro. Don't worry about it. Now, I know Maestro.
I just want to say quickly, for me, it's not all about Cam. It's mostly about Christian McCaffrey and the lack of Sweat and Chase Young on that defensive side for Washington, combined with the emotional impact in the building of Cam. It's not Cam on the field necessarily until they get in the red zone. In the red zone, I will say good luck stopping that offense in the red zone. If they get inside the 10-yard line, it's game over. It's touchdown every time.
Hey, Mikey, Trey in the chat says he's got $100. He'll go head up against you.
Send it. Let's go.
Trey, don't test Mikey. I'm telling you right now, he never met a bet, especially if it's on a team that he is betting on that he wouldn't take. So if you're serious, we can make this happen. We're not going to do this often, but if you want to do it, Trey, we can make it happen. Leave your Twitter handle in the chat. We'll make it happen. He'll go head up for that, but most certainly. All right, in the meantime, hey, Johnny, get Trey's Twitter handle. We'll make that happen. All right, Maestro, your official plays. Talk to me.
Yeah, well, Washington plus 3.5 is one, and the second one was the Eagles team total under 24. I bought it up 1.5 to a key number, laying minus 160, but I'm fine going under 22.5. RJ talked about it. The Saints have the number one rush defense, 3.1 yards a carry. The Eagles are running the ball nearly 70% of the time in neutral situations. That means either up by less than a touchdown or down by less than a touchdown. So they're not going to have a ton of success. I think the clock is going to run. The Saints run the ball also more than any other team. These are two of the top three. The Bears are the only team that runs it more. So we're going to get a lot of running clock. And I just think this game has got 20-17 written all over it. And I'll go under 24 for the Eagles.
Oh, I've already played that under myself. Anytime you give out something, Maestro, I'm going to play it. All right, the beauty of this show, if you are brand new or you're going to tell a friend, not only do we give out our best bets, not only do you get all that information, but now we go through every single game rather quickly, but give you kind of an initial breakdown of where the number is, what we like, if we like the total, if we think you should wait until Sunday to play, or if you should get this game in if you like it. It's all about educating and entertaining all at the same time. So, guys, let's jump right in. First game, RJ, I'm coming to you. Pats laying 7 on the road in Atlanta. The total is 47.5. Talk to me.
Yeah, look ahead was New England -4. So this is one of the bigger non-injury moves you're going to see, moving 3 points at this point. New England looked at its absolute best this season last week, unless you count the Jets game too, but we know the Jets don't have a defense. Atlanta's looked at its absolute one, it's probably its worst. I think there's value fading line moves when you see those two extremes and then you have a big line move, because you're probably going to get something that's not as aggressive as what that line move indicates. This is a tough test for Mac Jones. He's playing on the road on a short week. I know it's a bad team, so maybe he'll just, throttle them because they're not good. But, that short week on the road for a rookie quarterback, don't underrate that. I think if Atlanta's also in the vicinity of a cover, Matt Ryan's a good quarterback to have in garbage time if you're trying to get that cover at +7. 80% of the tickets on New England. So if this is going to be another fade the public game where everybody was on the Rams on Monday and then the smart people were on 49ers in cash, this is the number to jump at now that it's at 7. So I like Atlanta +7 here. I didn't give away all my plays from the site in the first segment. So if you want to see if I'm on this or if I'm waiting for a better number, you can go in and see if you're a subscriber, and some of the other games this week. I have some I'm waiting on better numbers, some I jumped on already. One that the line moved completely against me, which we'll talk to in a little bit.
All right, Maestro.
Yeah, I just want to jump in because it's a bad spot for New England. They have the Titans and another AFC playoff contender on deck. Oh, the Titans and the Bills on deck. And the Falcons getting embarrassed was kind of expected, given that they were coming off like a Super Bowl win over their hated rivals, the New Orleans. So that was a bad spot. Now they're at home. Now they're embarrassed. Patterson was limited today. They need him. I mean, they're so bereft of weapons. They need him. But yeah, I'd lean with the touchdown.
Yeah, it just seems like it's too many, and there's a lot of recency bias because of all the craziness with underdogs that these lines are moving, and the Falcons, the 7 at home, that just seems like too much. It's too much. All right, game number 2. Mikey, I'm coming to you. Colts and the Bills. Bills are laying a touchdown, total at 50. Bills coming off a whitewashing, just blowing out the Jets on the road, and this is a much more difficult test than what the Jets are going to be. What do you think, Mikey?
Yeah, this one is super interesting to me. So the thing that stood out the most was the total for me. The total up here, 50-51 is where it's sitting. I have the number at 48.7, and a couple of the other models that I follow too are all the way down around 45, 46 on this one. I think it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, the Colts are going to want to keep the clock running. They're going to want to feed Jonathan Taylor. I think that the Bills will have enough success to have some of those longer sustained drives in this game. So I'm leaning towards the under in it. As far as the spread, I make it 7.1. I still have a lot of respect for the Colts for some reason, or at least my computer does. And I couldn't get to laying it with the Bills unless I got it to 6.5. But for right now, for me, the under is the play. And that's very scary considering how many points the Bills can put up at any time and how good the Colts can be. But right now I have a little bit of an edge on the under.
RJ, are your Bills the team we saw last week score 45 or the team we saw the week before scored 6?
Look, I don't know. Like I said, I still have questions about this offense. They haven't looked right for a lot of the season, so I'm not going to just say that they're back because they took it to the Jets. They played a lot of bad defense. This is really their first true test of what the offense is actually fixed. Indy struggled to put Jacksonville away, but still 2 overtime losses away from 7 straight wins. Without those 2 OT losses, Colts could be winning 7 straight, and we could be talking about them like we are some of these other teams like the Titans and the Patriots. So I rag on Wentz for those terrible interceptions he had against Tennessee, but he only has 3 interceptions all year against 17 touchdowns. So that was really the exception, not the rule. And now we have such a large sample size that I'm willing to say he's playing pretty well. And those interceptions aren't going to happen every single game. Who else is playing pretty well is Kwity Paye on the defensive line as a rookie. I think the key to slowing Allen is pressure with your front 4, and he looks like a guy who can provide some of that. So this looks like he's going to get to 7.5. I'd be more apt to play Indy at plus 7.5 than to tease Buffalo down at that number. I have more faith that Indy will hang around in this game than Buffalo is gonna win outright. I just think it's going to be a competitive game either way.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is I feel you on the Colts at plus 7.5 if it gets there, or maybe even buying it depending on the price. All right, Larry, let me come to you. Next game, Ravens laying 6 on the road in Chicago, taking on the Bears, a total of 45.5. Talk to me.
Yeah, just an early lean would be towards the Bears and the points. I mean, the last time we saw them, they were very competitive. Justin Fields making strides. Probably should have won that game. And we've seen the Ravens. Obviously, they're at what you might think is a low part of their market because of that terrible performance. But we've just seen this defense get exposed. So, yeah, early lean would be the Bears.
Are we just getting really scared, Mikey, because of the last 3 weeks and these underdogs not only covering but winning on the field?
I mean, I personally am not, just because I'm using the computer, so it's not really thinking about it too much. But I think it's just that the Bears are better than the perception that we've had of them. And this game is one where both teams are going to want to still run the football enough to keep the clock rolling. So it's a relatively lower total here. I'm with Larry. I think that if you're looking to play it against the spread, you probably take the points with the Bears. I've elected to use the Ravens in a teaser, as I do think that they will ultimately find ways to win football games here. My number on this one is 6.1, so it's dead on where this was. It was 6.5 for a while, so it looks like we've seen a little bit of buying on that Bears side. But it's tough to win football games on the road in the NFL. So you give the Bears, 6 points at home it's a lot. So. For me, it's Ravens and a teaser only, but I certainly wouldn't fault you if you wanted to play the Bears against the spread.
All right, very good. Great information as always. Moving on, and this is a number you look at and go, what? But, RJ, I'm coming to you. Lions at the Browns, Cleveland laying double digits with 10, the total 44.5. Now, to remind people, the Browns just got crushed last weekend, and the Lions tied the Steelers 16-16. I don't even know what to do with this one, so I'm going to come to you.
Yeah, Jared Goff is dealing with an oblique injury, which makes sense because he had to play 2 games in 2 days, playing for the Lions on Sunday and then the Rams on Monday. So that's going to hurt a lot of people when they have to do that. He might not be able to play in this game, and it'll be David Blau, and you have to take at least, I don't know, a tenth of a point off the line. Is David Blau much worse than Jared Goff? I'm not really sure. This number is so high though that if you're going to fade, if you're going to play that move and say I want to get ahead of the move, I don't see there's that much value laying it with the Browns. But if Goff is out, there's no guarantee he's back the next week where they play on Thanksgiving. Obviously, they play the early Thanksgiving game every week, and Lions are only +3 against Chicago. So if you think Chicago is going to come out and play well against the Ravens, I would consider a look ahead play on Chicago -3 in Week 12, because if Goff trends downward, misses this game, questionable, don't know if he's practicing next week, Bears are going to be 7-8 points at that point. So I think
at least
you want to get ahead of that move.
Yeah. Great point. All right. Real-time scoring. Unfortunately, Jamaica just scored a goal about 4 or 5 minutes ago. So it's going to be 1-1 with about 15 minutes left to go in the first half there. We're on United States men's team today. All right, Mikey, let's go to you. Texans, Titans. Titans laying 10.5. 44.5 is the total. We know they're in the top 10, but they have no Derrick Henry. They are 8-2. Is their record better than what we think they are?
Well, yeah, their record's certainly better than where they are as a team now and going forward. They're still a good football team, and they're still playing a pretty bad football team. I didn't end up playing it. I do have a slight edge on it at 11.8, but I don't feel great about it. And if you asked me to tease it, I would actually tease the other side. You're getting 11 in the market many places. You tease the Texans up to 17. I personally want no part of this game. I know RJ's got a play on it. I'm a little concerned that Tannehill opens it back up. They hit A.J. Brown, has a big game here. The Tennessee defense is still pretty good at times. So I don't want any part of this one personally, but totally get it. And I'm not going to lay that big of a number with the team that I think, frankly, is still playing above their head.
Okay, very good. Let's continue to smash that like button. I need to get to 200 likes here during the show to give away a year-long membership. Also, we're going to give away 2 for those 2 people who are the most active in the chat, according to our producer, Gianni. All right, Maestro, let me come to you. This is another one of our top 5 games of the week. The Packers go on the road. Packers, they shut out Seattle. Very workmanlike. They didn't look great, but they got the job done. So now they go on the road to a Minnesota team that beat the Chargers in L.A., but yet they're underdogs at home. The total at 49. Floor is yours.
Yeah, the Packers defense has been pretty much the best in football over the last few weeks. And I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a breakout against this Vikings secondary. I believe last year they each won on the other's field. Early lean would be Packers, but got to check the Vikings injury report.
They are a team that just, RJ, figures out a way until we bet on the Chargers to lose. They just figure out a way to lose. So if that's the case, what do we want to play? And I haven't even looked at the number. I would assume it'd be 140 or 150. Packers on the money line?
I like Packers on the money line. Green Bay's D, I think Larry's kind of underselling it, but they played excellent right now. Their last 3 games have been against Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, and Russell Wilson. Now Russell Wilson coming back from injury. That's still kind of a murderer's row of good quarterbacks, and they're just stepping up. Green Bay offense didn't put many points on the board last week. Still had almost 400 yards, so I'm not really worried about them not scoring points. I think Minnesota can run the ball against Green Bay. Their rush defense hasn't been great, but I'm not sure if Rodgers is putting pressure on what I think is probably a bad Minnesota defense, which had a great week, but was torched by 2 good offenses prior to that. And, Rodgers, I think, can get his. And so if he turns it into a shootout, is Kirk Cousins going to be able to catch up, keep up against this Green Bay defense that shut out those good quarterbacks? I'm not sure. So I think you play Packers money line, but at -2.5, I think just lay the points.
Yeah, that is the $1 million question right now. Can the Vikings stay with a Packers team that is scoring points? All right, RJ, we're going to stay with you. This next game, I can't imagine, but I know we have a play on it. Dolphins laying 3 at the Jets, total at 45. Talk to me.
This is going to go to 3 to 5. So you want 3.5. So you want to hop on it now if you like Miami. They had a mini bye to get healthier after their Thursday night win. That's big for Tua. We know Tua was banged up coming into that game, didn't start. Miami's D was atrocious earlier in this year, but their secondary got healthy, and it's led them to a strong stretch of play in the last few weeks. New York's defense is, and will be atrocious this year. Like 45 plus points allowed in 3 of their last 4. They are just not going to stop anyone. I don't care who's at quarterback. Jacoby Brissett could torch this team at this point. Mike White's season turned out to be a mirage. Can't expect a bunch of points from the Jets with the Miami defense playing well. So I was aggressive moving Miami up in power ratings. I had them -6 points below average with Brissett. But putting them even with Denver felt right at -2 right now, even though I typically wouldn't move a team that much in my power ratings. It just felt like the teams I kept on ranking them behind got teams like Chicago and Carolina. I'm like, on a neutral, I think Miami probably is the better team in that. So I kept on moving them up and landed them at -2 with Denver right now. So when you put them that high, and considering the Jets are one of the worst teams in the league, I think Dolphins -3 is the way to go.
All right, very good. Danny, I see you in the chat. Thank you. -140 is the number on the Packers on the money line. Did somebody have something on this game? I saw your.
I have a play on it as well at -3.
Yep, please.
Make it all the way up to -4.4. I'll just say both these teams are terrible. I have the Dolphins 27th, and the gap from 27th to 31st, where the Jets are, is huge. It is a massive gap. Like, it's not the kind of gap that we're talking about from 3 in the league to 6 or 7 to 10th, even 11th. The gap, the drop off is huge. We're going to be fading this Jets team quite a bit here, especially when you're getting less than a touchdown at the key number of 3 here. RJ said it's going to go to 3.5. Wouldn't shock me if this one closes at 4.
Okay. Very good. The gap is not close, according to Mikey. Gentlemen, I have to stop the show for a second because we have something very serious going on in the chat. I got to bring up Johnny. Can you find that text from Zach? We got to help Zach out. Apparently, according to Zach, where is he? Yes, there it is. The first wife that's left a person because they watch too much early edge. I don't even know how to react to this because there is no such thing as watching too much early edge. However, we don't want to break up any marriages either. So anybody want to weigh in on this, on how we can help our man Zach get back in the good graces of wifey? Anybody?
I think if she's leaving you over watching too much early edge, she doesn't really understand you. So we'll let her go.
She doesn't get you, Zach. She doesn't get you. RJ's right. She doesn't understand. Tell her to call me. We'll set her straight. All right. Zach, I hope you are kidding. I hope you are kidding. All right, let's move on. Mikey, I'm coming to you. This one we're very interested in. It really, I think, will have long-term playoff implications. I really, really do. Probably in the wild card form. Saints at the Eagles. Eagles looked really, really good against the Broncos on the road in Mile High. They're laying 1.5 points, the total 43.5. What do you got, Mikey?
Yeah, I think the wrong team is favored here. I make the Saints -1 in this spot. Alvin Kamara, we don't know the status there. I think he doesn't play again this week. Big news for the Eagles. Dallas Goedert is in the concussion protocol after that win at Denver. I think there's a good chance that he ends up sitting in this one. The real thing, though, is the Eagles, they have looked a lot better. And the reason they've looked a lot better is because they've stopped asking Jalen Hurts to throw the football so much. They've been able to run the football pretty successfully. I don't expect them to be able to run the football quite with so much success against this Saints defense. I think the Saints defense is legitimate, really in every aspect, but definitely against stopping the run. They know that that's what the Eagles want to do. Like, it's very, very, very obvious that the Eagles are going to want to try and run the football now at this point. They're not going to let that happen. They're going to make him throw the football. He could have a big day, but I think that it leads to some turnovers, some short fields. I think that this is going to be a game where each team's trying to simply manage the game, get out of there with a victory, not really blow anyone out. But I do think the wrong team is favored. I think the Saints are very clearly the better team. If we get Kamara back, that's obviously a bonus. If not, Mark Ingram can get it done, and I think the Saints will rely on that defense.
All right, very good. I'm really, really looking forward to this game because I just don't know what's going to happen. But I feel like I'm with you, Mikey, that the Saints just are figuring out ways to win or stay in every single game, and the Eagles are very much like this. All right, Maestro, let me come to you because the next game, all three of you guys are on, okay? Washington going on the road at the Panthers. Panthers laying currently 3.5. The total is at 43. Maestro, we know you're on Washington, but I need you to go a little bit deeper than what we did off the top because you got to prove yourself. You got to prove yourself. Talk to me.
I think you're goading me, Coach. You're goading me into a showdown for your entertainment. But, RJ's on it, and I just think this Washington team was the most underachieving team in the first half of the season. Everyone jumped off the bandwagon. And I said it on the Early Edge morning show that I think there's going to be value on Washington the second half of the season. I didn't pick them against Tampa. I stayed away from that game. Didn't think they were going to win outright, but that secondary played well. And I know they're missing both of their defensive ends. Jonathan Allen is playing well in the middle. Ron Rivera is a defensive coach. I think they figured out some things defensively the last few weeks. And Antonio Gibson is healthy. I mean, he had 48 yards after contact against the Bucs run defense, which is one of the best run defenses in the league. As long as they have him and Terry McLaurin and Taylor Heineke needed that break. It was like I think a mental health break and a physical health break for him that bye. I just think it's going to be a tight game. So I'm going to take 3.5.
All right, RJ, back up your boy. Back up your boy.
Yeah, look ahead was Carolina -2. Like I said, market clearly believes that Cam changes the trajectory, like I said. But how good is he going to be after a week plus of practice? Carolina is clearly getting more respect for beating Colt McCoy than Washington is for beating Tom Brady, which is bonkers to me. I think I read more into Washington beating Tom Brady than beating Colt McCoy and Chris Streveler. And so I am worried about the state of the Washington pass rush, but I think that defense overall is playing much better. The secondary is playing better. I think 2 was closer to the right number than 3.5. So you put it north of a field goal, I'm going to take the points.
All right. Somebody in the chat said they're feeling the under in this game. The under is at 43. Anybody like that to go over, to go under? Anybody don't like that total right now? I don't know. It's
I'm not great on total, so I don't really love it either way. If I'm right that Cam isn't just going to come in and just be amazing right off the bat, I think the under is probably the way to go.
All right, Mikey. You're on the Panthers, though, and not only are you on the Panthers, you said you'd play it up to almost 7.
Yeah,
right?
I got an alternate ticket in at -6.5. Just lots of these to get plus money. I mean, there is a big difference, but there isn't. Frankly, I think if Carolina covers 3.5, they're winning by a touchdown. I think these guys would also probably agree with that. If they're covering the 3.5, they're probably going to win by a touchdown. So I like the spot. It's not necessarily about Cam's on the field. It is about Cam, that the stadium's going to be electric and ready to go. They're very much looking forward to this. I think it helps the Carolina defense. I think the positive energy of having Cam Newton there really helps them rally around it, combined with having Christian McCaffrey back on the field. They've got Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore healthy. Like the weapons they have offensively, if they can get the football to them at all, they're going to be good. For me, though, it's simply about the defense. This Washington defense, we thought they were really great last year. They weren't so great to start this year. They started improving a little bit. Now they're without those DNs. Those DNs make a massive difference. I know for a lot of quarterbacks, you'll actually hear quarterbacks, if you watched the Manning cast last week, they're not so worried about the pressure off the edge. They're more worried about the internal push. That's true for the most part, but not the way that Cam Newton and not the way Christian McCaffrey are going to want to play. Those defensive ends are critical to defending Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey. I just think it's a good spot. I think it's a letdown spot for Washington after the big emotional win over Tom Brady at home. Now they're going to go into a highly emotional environment in the Carolina Panthers. I just think it's a spot where the Panthers ultimately run away with it. And I think that their red zone efficiency is going to skyrocket because I think it is super difficult to defend that team when they're, I said inside the 10, really inside the 15 with Cam McCaffrey on the field and those two receivers. I think it's very difficult to stop that offense in the red zone.
Well, we are guaranteed to have one winner on the show this weekend. It's either going to be the Panthers or the Redskins. And even my man Trey in the chat got a little $100 bet with Mikey. He's wanting to step into the big leagues and play with the big boys. Trey, I warned you. Trey. All right, speaking of a guaranteed winner, I got my first random winner from the chat. Here it is, at JWalk2Fly. At JWalk2Fly. Johnny, we'll reach out to you on social media and give you all the details, but you just want a year-long membership to SportsLine. There is no value on that. You're going to get all the information, all the cappers, all the simulations, everything. Congratulations. We're still going to give away one more, and if we get to 200 likes, we'll give away 2 more, and also a free T-shirt for a random person in the chat as well. So we're not done. We're not done. All right, let's move on to the next game. And this one, I'm coming back to RJ. 49ers traveling cross-country. Long trip to Jacksonville. Laying 6.5, coming off a very emotional win last night over the Rams. The total 45.5. RJ, talk to me.
I was hoping the roulette wheel wouldn't land on me with this game because who knows? This is an ugly one. 7s have been available for this game. Jacksonville, I think, is a little interesting at 7. The defense is slowly getting better. I have to think Lawrence is going to get better at some point too. You know, he's a rookie. He's going to learn some stuff and be better on the field as soon as he starts seeing the NFL speed and processing stuff better. This is a clear letdown spot for San Francisco after that primetime win over rival Rams. So you can't get much more of a letdown than having to go to Jacksonville and play the Jaguars. So my lean's probably to the under. But if it gets to 7, I might be looking to play Jacksonville. But, you know, saying that out loud probably thinks it's just a stay away from me.
Okay. Yes, Maestro.
Yeah, well, I actually got to say that the comment from Mario White in the chat a few minutes ago really cracked me up. But the 49ers,
what was it? What did he say?
You guys could go find it. The 49ers, this is a great spot for the Jags, +7. If you can get 7, Kyle Shanahan, 2-9 against the number, laying more than a field goal. The running back broke his finger. The Jaguars do defend the run pretty well. And we got to remember the Colts got that blocked punt. Really, Jacksonville controlled that game. They outplayed the Colts that game. So they are getting a little better. You do worry about Trevor, you know, about the big mishap. But aside from that, I think this will be competitive. And if I can get 7, I'm going to take it.
Mario must be new in the chat because if Mario wasn't new, he would know that RJ is an absolute savage when it comes to the NFL. He takes it rather seriously. I call him the stoic one. But yes, now people in the chat are starting to figure out just how serious our number one NFL capper is every single week. Now, today, as I was looking for the United States soccer game on Paramount Plus, I'm kind of flipping through. What an amazing, amazing site it is. And there's a brand new show that I really want to get into. It's called The Mayor of Kingston. Check it out.
Every member of my family fights this fight.
I can't change the way things are done here.
Your influence within the prisons is unique.
He does a lot of good.
He will get you killed.
Mayor of Kingstown, streaming November 14th on Paramount Plus.
The Mayor of Kingstown. I'm begging one of these CBS shows to give me a spot. I'll just be an extra. I don't need to be a star. Just throw me in something. Now, I'm going to throw us right back into the list of games. And, Mikey, I'm coming to you because 3 weeks ago, these two teams would have been right at the top of the list of potential surprises in the playoffs. But now look what's happened. Both teams falling off a cliff. Bengals laying 1 at Las Vegas, total 49.5. Talk to me.
Yeah, this one is incredibly fascinating. I think the Bengals are going to be one of the more popular public plays this week at -1. I was fully expecting simulations to be on the Bengals at that price point when I just looked at the number. Definitely not the case. Another one, just like that Saints game, I think the wrong team is favored here. It is a tougher spot going on the road in Vegas here. Still give them some credit. The Kansas City defense has been a lot better in the last 3 weeks, and I think that is why the model is where it is on it. But I think the Raiders are going to be a pretty clear sharp side in the market this week. And I haven't played it yet at this point because I do think people are going to continue to pile on the Bengals. It's tough. I really don't want any part of it, but I will say the Bengals are going to be one of the heavily bet public sides of the week.
I feel like with some rest and the way they're coming into it, I think you're dead on, that the public's going to love the Bengals side because everything on the Raiders side screams fade them. From on the field, from off the field, everything screams fade the Raiders. That's when it's got to be very, very, very careful. All right, Maestro, let me come to you because this next game, I want everybody talking on. I want to start with you because this is the game of the week. This is the best team in the NFC as far as record is concerned against the biggest brand in the AFC. 2 straight trips to the Super Bowl and maybe starting to find their mojo. Chiefs laying 2.5 at home to the Cowboys, and the total currently is sitting at 55.5, right below that very important 56 number. Talk to me.
Well, I mean, this is obviously must-see television. I do think the Chiefs have their mojo back. I think getting Ingram allowed Chris Jones to move inside, as many people have said, but he's a lot more dominant there. The secondary is playing well, and as long as Patrick Mahomes can keep that tendency to force the ball out, of his game, which he's been taking the short throws, and he's got so much speed there. If you just take the short throws, somebody's going to break one because he does hit you perfectly in stride. And I think they could have put up 56 or 60 the other night. I mean, he had 2 open bombs that I was surprised that he missed. I think he was being a little cautious, throwing it where only his receiver had the chance, and they were overthrows. But yeah, I think they're clicking, and I don't put a ton of stuff. I know the Cowboys have had a great run, but I just think they had so much turnover luck, so much ATS luck, talking about the Patriots game and other games, that if it's under a field goal, I'm going to lean KC.
Okay. RJ, let me come to you because the Cowboys, and I'm sure it's happened, just not very much, where a team scores 43 points and the under still comes in. But that's what happened between the Cowboys and the Falcons last week, 43-3. They were dominant. Should we be scared of the Cowboys again, RJ?
And Matt Ryan was playing well coming into that game. He's coming off his best game of the year, and Dallas completely shut him down. So I have more belief in Dallas. I know the KC defense is getting better. Well, Dallas defense has been good this year, especially generating turnovers, which we know Mahomes struggled with in the first half of the year. So if Dallas starts putting up points, if they start hitting big plays with their playmakers, is there going to be pressure for Mahomes to try to do the same and go downfield some more? I think that may come into play as well. So I don't know that the Kansas City defense, as good as they've looked lately with the teams they've played, you get to play Jordan Love. Great. You limited Jordan Love. Good job. Is that going to be enough to limit this elite offense, Dak Prescott and these guys? I'm not sure. So I just think body of work, Dallas is the better team with what we've seen. And in this day and age where home field advantage is not worth 3 points, I think you can't lay 2.5 with a team if you don't think they're the better team, and I don't think they are. So I like the Cowboys side of this, hoping it gets to 3, and we could take the Cowboys at that point.
All right, Mikey, let me come to you because I said that number 56, very important. Chiefs beat the Raiders 41-14. The number right now for this game is 55.5. Talk to me on the total and then whatever else you were going to say.
Yeah, so I'm at 55.4. I've seen it at 56. Look, I would have to lean towards the under, but I'm certainly not playing it. Obviously, we know the amount of points these guys can put up. I think both teams are still going to run the football. We know Dallas is still going to try to run the football with Zeke in this game. So I'm totally staying away. I think it's actually quite efficient. I think it's a tough game to put a total on. As far as the game goes, though, I like the Chiefs. I think that they're back, and I love that they're back at home in this game. I will disagree slightly that the home field isn't worth much. I think it is worth quite a bit at Arrowhead when it's an NFC team like this. The thing that I'm kind of starting to question on Dallas is them playing outside of a dome. They got to play the dome against the Falcons, played the dome against the Broncos where they lost, played the dome against the Vikings, on the road at the Patriots, played a true road game there outdoors. Had to go to overtime. Were barely able to squeak that one out. They played at home at the Giants. They played at home to the Panthers. They allowed Sam Darnold to put up 28 points in that one. Played at home to the Eagles. And then the other road game they played was at the Chargers. Narrow victory there, 20-17. I think this team is going to struggle a little bit outside of domes when you put them in conditions like they will see in Kansas City. It's not going to be a cold snow game, but it's going to be in the 30s to 40s in the afternoon game here. Combine that with the fact that you've got the Chiefs on the right foot and that crowd going to be an absolute sellout there. The team, everyone obviously doesn't really give up on them, but they will be rallying them around them after that huge win. So I think it's a really difficult spot that Dallas is walking into.
Selfishly, I can't wait to talk about this game Sunday night on Early Edge Live at 7:20 Eastern Time as we break down everything from the day, because this is one of the games I had circled all year already, and we get it on Sunday. Thank you, boys, for those 3 takes. All right, I got 2 more winners coming at you right now from our random selection in the chat at C_rad. At C_rad, you just won a year-long membership and also a free T-shirt. Brand new Early Edge T-shirts. They're so new that most of us don't even have multiples yet. Like, they're so hard to get. So at Dustin Hall 151, you are very active as always, and you get an Early Edge T-shirt. And the only thing we ask is when you get it, you tweet out a picture and let us know how it fits and how it looks. That's all we ask when we give you that free T-shirt. All right, so congratulations to you two. All right, getting back into our games. 3 left. Cardinals laying 2.5 on the road at Seattle. The Seahawks have looked anemic offensively the last several weeks. Russell Wilson did come back last week, RJ, against the Packers. They could not score against Green Bay. So this week they're back home. The Cardinals have got to figure this thing out without Kyler Murray. And we don't know when he's coming back. Talk to me on this game.
Yeah, Russ looked awful after rushing back. He said he had a miraculous recovery, and he came back before anybody thought he could, and then he played like that. So maybe you weren't really recovered, Russ. Maybe take another week or 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he should improve moving forward. Obviously he's not going to play at that level for the rest of the season. But who's starting at quarterback for Arizona? If it's Kyler, he might also be doing it at less than 100%. He might be rushing back because the team needs him, and the team just got blown out by a bad Carolina team. If it's Colt McCoy, he's going to be playing through a pec strain, and that's tough environment at Seattle to play and succeed if you're a quarterback, no matter what quarterback, especially when you start getting down to the backups. If it's Chris Trevor, this game is obviously Seahawks -7 or 8 or whatever. It's going to get so my lean is Seattle +2.5 right now. Is a big move off the look ahead. I think Seattle was -1 on the look ahead when we didn't know who was playing quarterback for Arizona and how these guys looked. So I think the value is probably going to be with the Seahawks. Hoping, of course, we catch the 3. But without knowing the health of some of these guys, I wouldn't really look to tease us up to 8.5. This looks like a good teaser number, but just so much uncertainty in this game. I just think right now the value is probably with Seattle.
I think that is great advice, just to kind of stay away, because none of these numbers feel good to me. None of these numbers feel good to me right now with the uncertainty. All right, Mikey, I'm coming to you. Steelers, Chargers, LA. They've now played themselves into must-win situations, because a few weeks ago they were like, okay, we're going. We're in first place. And now losing games like they did to the Vikings and the way they did to the Vikings. So they're laying the 6, the total at 47 as a Steelers team comes to town, Mikey, who just got tied at home by the Lions. That taste in their mouth has got to be disgusting coming into this week Floor is yours.
Yeah, this one's interesting, and as disgusting as it sounds, I might be on the Steelers here with the points. The Chargers, some breaking news there. Joey Bosa on the COVID list. Defensive tackle Jerry Tillery on the COVID list. Happened about 30 minutes ago.
Really?
Both of those players are going to miss this game. They've already been put on the list. There is no chance for them to be able to play in this game. So they're losing two pretty key defensive players for the Chargers, especially when we have quarterback concerns for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I haven't played it yet. I actually only make the Chargers minus 4.9 in this game. I make the total down to 45.3. I think the early leans here are very clearly Steelers with the points, lean towards the under. Very interesting to see if this line moves at all, if there is any additional COVID list stuff going on for the Chargers. But those two losses, definitely two players you do not want to lose on that defense. That's for sure.
Yeah, I want to add, like, unless Mikey knows that these guys aren't vaccinated, there might be a chance that they play. They need 2 negative tests within 24 hours. So if they can do that and they come in, Thursday, Friday, get tested negative, they might come off of that list and be able to play. So we don't know that. But I do agree. The Steelers agreeing, dealing with their own COVID issues too. Obviously, Big Ben is on the COVID list. They think he might be able to play. We'll see what his status is. We saw Rodgers come back in. That Green Bay offense didn't look great when Rodgers showed up on a Saturday. But, they still got it done in the end. So I think it's going to be tough playing Pittsburgh if Big Ben's out again. But either way, I think their game plan is to run Najee Harris. The Chargers rush defense, 32nd in yards per rush and in rush attempts. Teams just run the ball all over them because they know they can. And that lines up with what Pittsburgh wants to do. They want to run the ball. They want to give Najee Harris the ball 50 times if they could. So the Los Angeles offense struggled against a defense that I think is mediocre in Minnesota last week, even with their defensive line injuries. So we know TJ Watt got hurt in this game. We'll see his status. I don't know if he's ruled out yet. He might be, but the Daniel Hunter was ruled out, and it didn't really matter for Los Angeles last week. So this is going to be a home game for Pittsburgh too. Don't forget that. This is +6 Pittsburgh, but they're not on the road. They're at home. They're going to have the terrible towels out. 80% of the crowd will be Pittsburgh screaming their heads off with what they think is a playoff team. You just cannot lay a bunch of points with the Chargers in this scenario, playing at home against a very popular team.
No doubt. There are so many Steeler bars in LA. It's crazy. Maestro, I know you got to get out of here in 2 minutes, so I'm going to have you start the last game, and then you can bounce. Giants, Bucks laying 11, and they've been in trouble. What do you make of this team? And then I know you got to go.
Yeah, no, we talked about this on the morning show that the line was 11.5 and it seemed high. The Giants got a similar number in KC. They covered that one the whole way. Daniel Jones on the road, 27 TDs, 8 interceptions. For some reason, he's a different quarterback on the road. Vita Vea is injured for the Bucks. He's an important guy in the middle of that defense. And Antonio Brown, I don't know what his status is with the ankle, if he's going to be back. Just seems like too many points. I'm not on it yet. I want to dig a little deeper. Giants coming off a bye. Teams off a bye are only 5-11 against the spread for whatever that's worth this season. At this point, it would be Giants or pass.
Yeah, I hear you, and then certainly wait till Sunday, see if maybe the number comes below 10. But who knows? Right now, the way the Bucks are playing, you can't hit that. Maestro, are you going to CBS Sports HQ?
No.
All right, just got to go.
Yeah,
all right.
Got to run.
All right, he's a man. All right, he is the Maestro. Thank you, Maestro, very much. RJ, let me come to you. The Bucks, how in trouble are they based off of what we've seen, getting really beat by the Saints, and then the Washington beaten by 10 points?
Well, first I want to point out what Larry had to go do is not take Mike up on that showdown bet. He's being a coward getting out of this chat.
What a coward!
Stand here and take the bet, man. You back up your pick.
I love it.
I don't know. I think Buccaneers coming into this game, they looked as bad as they have lately, last week. So I think this is a nice bounce back spot. I mean, you want to play these teams that look poorly coming back in. It's a lot of points to lay. I understand that. But the Giants D struggles when not facing Sam Darnold. They've been letting a lot of production come on the board when they're not playing a quarterback like that. And Tom Brady is definitely not Sam Darnold. Giants are not going to fix their issues during the bye. I think it's a tough matchup for their offense against this defense. So, I mean, I could see the Buccaneers getting out to a 14-point lead by the middle of the second quarter. And then what do the Giants do at that point? Is it going to be another game like that Rams game where it just falls apart and it's 38-11 before you know it? And the Giants are putting up garbage time points. So I think that's more on the board than the Giants making this competitive like they did against the Chiefs team that we knew had fundamental problems with them. We had saw that coming into that game, the Chiefs, everything was going wrong for their offense. Buccaneers, just because they lost one game, I don't think everything's going wrong for their offense. They'll get it together coming into this one.
Mikey, based off the game script that RJ just laid out, Do you see the same thing?
Yeah, for me, I'm on that side. I know Larry said he'd be on Giants or nothing. For me, it'd be the Buccaneers or nothing here. I make it 11.5 in the simulations. Love to see this number get close to 10. I don't think we're going to get it. You mentioned Tom Brady is not Sam Darnold. Tom Brady, if you watch the press conference, he was not very happy after that last performance. He spent less than 90 seconds with media after that game. He is not happy at all. Now gets to come home. We'll see what kind of weapons they have this week, but for me, it definitely seems like a spot where Tom Brady and the Bucs could absolutely roll this Giants team.
We know that the thing I love about Tom Brady is I say this with all the respect in the world. He's a killer. And he's the type of athlete that when he doesn't play well, he wants to score and throw 5 touchdowns in a game and tell the coaches not to take the gas pedal off until you get to 5 touchdowns in the game. That's what I've always loved about Tom Brady. So I have a tendency to lean towards the way Mikey and RJ think this game is going to go. You definitely could see 38-11, 45-17. Go ahead, Mikey.
One more thing, because we love to talk about all these like arbitrary stats.
Yes.
Primetime games. I can't wait because it's another primetime game. We're going to hear about how awful Tom Brady's game record is against the spread when the game starts after 5 p.m. This is a night game. It's Monday Night Football. So get ready to talk about that for the second half of this week.
And then how many people are going to tweet at us and say, you guys are wrong. The Super Bowl, blah, 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 blah. It's after 6:30 is the number. Remember how many people tweeted us that we were wrong when we gave that out? And it was the Super Bowl starts at 6:18. So come on. We have researchers for this. They get paid to do this. All right. It's that time. We always give you a full recap of our official plays on the board. I will give out Larry's very quickly. He's on Washington plus 3.5. And then he bought the Eagles team total up to 24 to play the under. That's why the juice is so high, because that 24 is a very important number when you're playing a team total on a particular side. RJ, what do you got?
I got Washington plus 3.5. I like unlike Larry, I am not scared to take that showdown bet with Mike. So I'm going to be on the opposite side of him there. I just love fading. With what we saw, I believe when a line moved more than a point, or at least a point last week, the team that if you faded that line move was 7-0 last week when I was looking at my numbers as of Wednesday when the contest lines locked for the Super Contest. So if you just played back against those early week moves, you tended to be pretty profitable. So that's what I'm doing here. I just think the market is overestimating how great Carolina looked in that game and how good they're going to be, with him in their first game. I think they will be solid moving forward. I just don't think that it's going to be any better than what we see from Washington, really. And then I have the Texans plus 10.5, more of a Tennessee fade. Like I said, I do think Houston's better than what they showed last week with Tyrod under center, based on what we saw earlier in the season. He actually outplayed the Browns for a half. And you look at the Browns last week, you think, okay, yeah, that's a terrible defense, but they've actually been pretty good for most of the year. And they were pretty good after that game and when they got to face Davis Mills in the middle of that game. But Tyrod actually played them really well in that game. And I think that he'll get back to being that type of quarterback before long. And then I like a teaser, Saints plus 7.5, Cowboys plus 8.5. You get New Orleans, that line ticked up too much, and now they get it at 1.5. It's a perfect teaser leg for me after I thought what should have won that game. It was an unlucky loss to Tennessee based on what the officials gave to Tennessee and some fumble luck there. And Cowboys plus 8.5, I've said I don't think they're better than Kansas City on a neutral field right now. So give me 8.5 in Kansas City. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Let me ask you this, because I know the question is going to come. If you like the Texans getting 10.5 straight up against the Titans, would you consider them a team that you could tease up to 16.5 if somebody wanted to do that?
I don't like teasing numbers that high. I think if you're going to lose by 11, you have just as good a chance to lose by 17, really. I think that you're not getting as much value with that number. I want to tease through 3 and 7. I want to tease through the numbers where it matter, where teams are playing back they're down big late and they're playing back to try to keep it close, cut it to 1 score and get in that range there. Or to play these close games up over 7. So if it is a close game, like people think, if they lose by 4 instead of the 2.5 or the 1.5, I'm not screwed by that. I'm still going to get that. So 10.5 to 16.5. I mean, if Tennessee keeps getting the lucky bounces and keeps getting the calls, and Houston just is terrible, then I mean, they could win by 40. We just don't know.
Did you all write that down? These are the type of things that you got to write down. Keep a journal. That's what I do. And just write down these little nuggets and go back and look and say, what did RJ say? What did Mikey say? What did Maestro say? All this stuff's very, very important if you're going to do this every single day like we do and like a lot of you do with us. All right, Mikey, you've got a lot of plays that you loved earlier this week. Go ahead and rip them off for us.
Yeah, Panthers -3.5. Got the showdown here with RJ so far. We'll see if Larry decides to jump in or not. I would tell him the water is warm. It's fine. Head on in if you'd like to swim. Yeah, Panthers, I think it's largely about Cam's impact on the overall environment at the stadium and the way that it's going to energize the defense. And then on the Washington side, I'm very concerned about Sweat and Young being out. I think it's a huge deal in defending both Cam Newton as a dual threat quarterback and Christian McCaffrey on the field. Dolphins -3. Look, I think that this is a decent spot, a little bit of a miniature extended week as they played the early game. So they get a little bit more time for Tua here, get to fade those New York Jets at a field goal. I think the number's beautiful here. Saints +1.5. I think the wrong team is favored. They should be -1 on the road against the Eagles. Eagles should not be able to run the ball with much success against the Saints. The Saints are going to try to make Jalen Hurts throw. Jalen Hurts throwing is not a recipe for success for this Eagles team, especially if you remove Dallas Goedert, who is in the concussion protocol and potentially may not play in this game. Kansas City, love this one under a field goal. I think this is a great spot for them as well. I questioned how good Dallas is when you remove them from the dome element. Now they're playing outside in the elements in one of the loudest stadiums in the NFL. Just could be some potential trouble spots for them. And then my teaser, like RJ, love the Saints here. And then I'm going to pair them with the Baltimore Ravens on the road in Chicago. Don't like the Ravens against the spread. Do think they find ways to win football games. And that's what they're going to do here. Love that teaser.
One chat question for Thursday. You mentioned Miami. Kendrick Bourne over 33.5 receiving yards, I believe is at -115.
I have no clue. I wish I could give it to you, but I it's up to the numbers. I don't have it in front of me right now, so unfortunately, I can't answer it yet.
He looks dangerous making plays the last 2 weeks. It looks like he's kind of becoming that reliable option. And we know the Falcons. I mean, I don't know if everybody knows, but the Falcons have a pretty good young cornerback in AJ Terrell. And so if they put him on board and say, we'll take whatever you want to get with Jacoby Myers and Hunter Henry and those guys, and we're just going to take this guy Bourne out of there because he's making these big plays, then I think he could have a bad day because Terrell's played pretty well this year. He's one of the few guys on the defense playing well. But I think if that's just how it shakes out and Bourne's got to match up with him most of the day, it's going to be tough.
All right, there you go. There you go. But don't forget, Thursday night for a full 45 minutes to 60 minutes right before the game. We'll do as many props as we can get to, so you can come back, ask the question then, and Mikey or Prop Stars or anybody will have an answer for you once we run all the numbers of all the guys leading right up to the game. So please join us on Thursday night for that. Don't forget, on Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, Dial Up and the boys have all your early looks at the college football. Yes, he's got a new nickname. AB, his ego is out of control. All right. I like to end every single show with giving my cappers 15 to 20 seconds on what they're most looking forward to for whatever the content is. And this is NFL Futures. So, RJ, what are you most looking forward to this week?
I'm looking forward to the Buffalo game, obviously, for obvious reasons. As a Buffalo fan, I want them to prove themselves. So I stop having these doubts because with a lot of my teams, I have doubts until they need to squash them. And the Atlanta baseball team was able to do that. So maybe I should be more optimistic moving forward. So looking to that, I'm looking to see how that KC Dallas game shakes out. That could be a Super Bowl preview if KC really does have things fixed. I mean, we could really see that game again down in February. So that's going to be a great game to watch.
Mikey.
Yeah, so first off, I'm looking forward to Carolina Panthers covering the spread here and beating the Washington football team. I'm going to take it a step further. What I'm going to do for RJ, because he appreciated how much I wore that Atlanta Braves hat when I bought it. They went on to win. That $100 he sends me after he loses a showdown, I think I might even buy a Buffalo Bills hat with it.
Oh, snap! Snap! RJ,
If you're going to commit to wearing a Buffalo Bills hat in January, especially when the Chiefs are there, on the schedule coming up, then I will send you that hat myself. I will get that on your head with your mojo. So you don't even have to worry about buying that yourself.
Well, somebody's got to give Larry's final take correct since he left the show. So I think I'll do that. So this is the maestro and what I'm looking forward to the most this week. I'm looking forward to looking over the course of the next 2 or 3 days to see if I have anything inside of me. Because after not accepting a bet with M Squared today, live on the show, I don't know if I've got what it takes to be a part of this team on the early edge. So that's what I'm looking forward to most this week, to seeing if I still have it, if I still got it. That's what I'm most looking forward to. Coach, back to you. Wow, Maestro's got some issues. He's got some issues right now. I don't even know where he's coming from. Our apologies there, everybody. All right, there's only one thing left to do, and you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these NFL tickets. Well, all but one for one of you straight to the pay window. My entire team, RJ, M Squared, the Maestro, Johnny, our incredible producers on the ones and the twos, and our entire team behind the scenes at SportsLine. Tell all your friends, it doesn't matter the content. We've got you covered. Follow our YouTube channel. Turn on the notifications so every single second of content, you get notified the minute it drops into your feed. All right, we'll see you live tomorrow morning for the morning show of The Early Edge at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Until then, tell all your friends there's only one sports betting brand you even need to worry about. We call it The Early Edge. Good luck.
Do you want best bets in your feed every single day? All you have to do is hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Early Edge.